Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giribharadhari Jaya Giribharadhari Giribharadhari Gopijada Vallabha Jaya Giribharadhari Jaya Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Itai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, entitled The Summon Bonum, Chapter 2, entitled Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. Text number 6. Bhagavan api vishwatma viditva kamsajam bhajam jadunam nijanathanam yogamajam samadhisat. Bhagavan api vishwatma viditva kamsajam bhajam jadunam nijanathanam yogamajam samadhisat. Bhagavan api vishwatma viditva kamsajam bhajam jadunam nijanathanam yogamajam samadhisat. Please chant. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Api, also, Vishwatma, who is the super soul of everyone. Viditva, understanding the position of the Yadus and his other devotees. Kamsajam, because of Kamsa. Bhajam, fear. Jadunam, of the Yadus. Nijanathanam, who had accepted him, the Supreme Lord, as their supreme shelter. Yogamayam, unto Yogamaya, the spiritual potency of Krishna. Samadhisat, ordered as follows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. To protect the Yadus, his personal devotees, from Kansa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Vishwatma, the supreme soul of everyone, ordered Yogamaya as follows. Purport. The word Bhagavan Api Vishwatma Viditva Kamsajam Bhajam are commented upon by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Bhagavan Swajam is Krishna. Krishna's too, Bhagavan Swajam. He is Vishwatma, the original super soul of everyone, because his plenary portion expands as a super soul. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 13.3. Chetragya chapiman vidhi sarva chetre shubharata. Lord Krishna is the Kshetragya, or super soul, of all living entities. He is the original source of all expansions of the personality of Godhead. There are hundreds and thousands of plenary expansions of Vishnu, such as Shankarshan, Pradumnya, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. But here in the material world, the Vishwatma, the super soul for all living entities, is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:61, Ishvara sarva bhutanan hrideshyarjuna tishtati. Quote, the Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of all living entities, O Arjuna. End of quote. Krishna is actually Vishwatma by his plenary expansions as Vishnu Tattva. Yet, because of his affection for his devotee, he acts as super soul to give them direction. Sarvasya chaham hridishani vishto matasmriti jnana aponghanancha. The affairs of the super soul pertain to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, but Krishna took compassion of Devaki, his devotee, because he understood her fear of Kansa's persecution. A pure devotee is always fearful of material existence. No one knows what will happen next, for one may have to change his body at any moment. Tata dehantara prapti. Knowing this fact, a pure devotee acts in such a way that he will not have his life spoiled by being obliged to accept another body and undergo the tribulations of material existence. This is bhayam, or fear. Bhayam dvitiya viniveshataha syat. Srimad-Bhagavatam 11.2.37. This fear is due to material existence. Properly speaking, everyone should always be alert and fearful of material existence, but although everyone is prone to be affected by the ignorance of material existence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always alert to the protection of his devotees. Krishna is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that he helps them by giving them the intelligence by which to exist in the material world without forgetting him even for a moment. The Lord says, Te san evanukam partam aham agyanayam tamaha nasyamyatma bhavasto jnana dipena bhashata. Quote, out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. End of quote. Bhagavad Gita 10:11. The word yoga means link. Any system of yoga is an attempt to reconnect our broken relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are different types of yoga, of which Bhakti Yoga is the best. In other yoga systems, one must undergo processes before obtaining perfection. One must undergo various processes before obtaining perfection. But Bhakti Yoga is direct. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 6:47, Yoginan api sarveshan matgatena taratmana sadamam bhajate yoman same yukta tamo mataha. Quote, of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. End of quote. For the Bhakti Yogi, a human body is guaranteed in his next existence. As stated by Lord Krishna, Suchinan Srimadangehe Yoga Prasto Vijayate. Yoga Maya is the spiritual potency of the Lord. Out of affection for his devotees, the Lord always stays in a spiritual touch with them. Although otherwise his Maya potency is so strong that she bewilders even exalted demigods like Brahma. Therefore, the Lord's potency is called Yoga Maya. Since the Lord is Vishwatma, he immediately ordered Yoga Maya to give protection to Devaki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Romapada Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Satarine. Vancha kalpa tarubhyasha kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. So, it's a very small verse, but it's a packed purport by Srila Prabhupada. And there is very important and also deep points of subject matters that Prabhupada cover. The first one is Lord Krishna's position as a super soul, the Vishwatma. Something that for many people is, people that are in contact with the Vedas, sometimes it's confusing. There has been always this contention that Krishna is an expansion of Lord Vishnu, because we see the Dasa avatar, and there's 10 important avatars that are celebrated. Although we understand from the Bhagavatam that the appearance of the Lord in the material world are unlimited. There is explains that there are like the waves of the ocean, they're constantly coming. And there is also some mentions that he appears in all species of life. So, and I haven't heard of the Lord appearing, in insects or things like that, but this is also a species of life, right? Plants, and I'm not sure, but nevertheless, there is this 10 celebrated appearance of the Lord, Dasa avatar, and one of them is Krishna, and it is explained that in the third canto, it's explained that all the avatars of the Lord, they enter this universe through Lord Vishnu. So they expand from Lord Vishnu. So the conclusion is that, so Krishna comes from Lord Vishnu, just like Lord Nrsimhadev, just like Lord Ram, Kurma, Lord Matsya, everybody comes from Lord Vishnu. So this is a common understanding, and sometimes a point of argument by people who follow the Vedas, and Vaishnava, even some Vaishnavas like that, groups. However, Srila Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedas, or the author, the compiler of the Vedas, he established Krishna's position in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Although the verse that is considered the Paribhasya verse of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, or the defining verse of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, was given by Srila Sutta Goswami in response of the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya. And when he says, Ete chansa kalapunsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna's position is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original personality of Godhead. The sages ask, please tell us about all these wonderful adventures and appearance of the Lords in the world. How he appears in different forms, and what are the pastimes of these different forms, and what is the purpose that he appears like that. So they wanted to know about the different pastimes of the Lord, and Srila Sutta Goswami goes on in narrating. He didn't describe only the 10; he described actually 20-something different appearances of the Lord, and also explains that they are unlimited. He was to say that there is like the waves of the ocean. So, but after narrating all these different incarnations in a, in a how you say, concise way, he said that all of these incarnations, all of these appearances are either expansions or expansions of Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Bhagavan Swayam. So, Krishna is the original, and from Krishna everything expands. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, and also very ecstatically expressed by Arjuna. Krishna himself says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, what is it? Aham sarvasya prabhavo, and I got a blank. Mata sarvam pravartate. That I am the source of everything material and spiritual. And and Arjuna went into, right after the Chaturasloki, went into this ecstatic expression, Parandama, Param Brahma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam. You are the supreme. You are the supreme shelter. You are the supreme. And this is confirmed by all the great personalities such as Vyas, Naradas, Devala, like that. It's not just because I like you and you're my friend and my spiritual master, but actually this is confirmed by the greatest authorities. So Krishna's position is very clear. And so he expands as a super soul. He enters into the universe. Vishwatma literally means the Atma of the universe. So he enters into this into every atom of this creation and into the heart of every living entity as the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And through that expansion, Krishna is able to give directions, give either remembrance or forgetfulness, accompany the living entity through all the different bodies and different species, from the most abominable to the most exalted. He is there as the super soul, as the Kshetragya. So he knows exactly, just like Prabhupada quotes this Kshetragyam Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, that there is, Krishna says that there is two Kshetragyas in the body. The Atma or the Jivatma, the living entity, and Krishna in the form of the super soul. And they both know, Kshetragya, they know everything that is happening. They're able to understand everything. In fact, Krishna understands better than us what's going on in our heads, and like that. So it is He who reciprocates. It is He who makes the arrangements. So that's the first point that Prabhupada explains. And because the verse says that as the super soul, Krishna could understand the anxiety and the fears of Vasudeva, Devaki, and the Yadus. And thus, in order to protect them and to relieve them from the fear, he ordered Yogamaya to make a special arrangement. So, in one sense, through the pastime we can understand that, first of all, this is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna that is going to appear in the world. Now, we hear that this is a very special occasion that happens not often. It happens only once in the day of Brahma. And in the day of Brahma, which is one kalpa, 1,000 cycles of yugas, there's many, many appearances of the Lord. But in one of those, then Krishna comes personally. And that's a big event. That's a big event for the demigods, for the whole universe, for the whole creation. And just imagine, that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna is coming. It's so rare that, like the bewilderment of Lord Brahma. This is Lord Brahma is most exalted devotee. Is the head of our sampradaya, and is the most intelligent personality in the whole universe. But it's so rare that he had that moment of doubt. Like, he understood Krishna. They all know this is they're all preparing for that. He heard from Lord Vishnu himself, I'm gonna come. And it was understood that that he was going to appear, and it was going to be special, Krishna. But when he sees, the relationship that the devotees in general have is this, with Lord Vishnu, which is great opulence and power. So there's this relationship of awe and reverence. When you see a little child form, extremely sweet, playing like a boy, like an innocent boy, just playing and one-on-one with his friends, and sometimes carrying his friend in his shoulder. I mean, no, this cannot be. It's something that it doesn't fit, in there, So, but when he comes to realize, then it became, it was almost like the perfection of the existence of devotion, because now they were in contact with the most intimate. They were able to witness Krishna, the Supreme Lord, their Supreme Lord, in his most intimate, beautiful, loving manifestation. So it's a big thing. It was a big thing that they have a sense that they knew because they were prepared. It's not, it's almost like the President of the United States is coming to Chicago. The whole machinery of government just like goes into a whole, everybody comes, the military comes, this and that, the CIA, the FBI, everybody, move along this community, that people, this and that. The whole city gets prepared for the arrival of this most important person. So similarly, the whole world is, all the demigods taking birth, in the family of the Yadus, and different places. And Lord Brahma, everybody is understanding. Yoga Maya, everybody is understanding. And then this Krishna set up this pastime. And everything is happening like that. And then he's sending a message to Yoga Maya. Okay, now make this arrangement. Lord Balaram comes. Everybody's like, okay, Krishna's passing. The Supreme Lord, Srimad-Bhagavatam Krishna is coming. So that's one thing that is there. And one beautiful thing that we can think, that obviously, in this situation, we're speaking about the eternal associates of the Lord, pure devotees, such as Vasudeva and Devaki. They are being, and the Yadus, the demigods, they're being persecuted by Kamsa, demoniac. And they're being, sort of put in this position of anxiety and fear, which I like to touch on that. Prabhupada does, so I like to discuss that part. But the position that is there when one takes full shelter of Krishna, and that is Prabhupada's point, that when one takes full shelter of Krishna, then Krishna protects. And the way he protects is that is the principle that Krishna orders the yoga potency, or the Maya potency, the Maya potency, that is his potency. He says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti, Suyate Sacharacharam, that is his potency. So he can order this potency. Okay, hands off. I take care. And therefore, to overcome the influence of Maya, which Krishna says is impossible, Dai Vihesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya, is an impossible task. But, what is it? Man evaisha prapadyante mayan etan tarantite. If you surrender to me, then it becomes very easy, because Krishna can order, okay, you make this arrangement for this devotee, you help, and it becomes more the process of assisting the devotee, of protecting the devotee. And then it comes, what is the fear for a pure devotee? Now, this is something that sounds strange, because we hear that pure devotional service means the end of all fears. There's no fear. It's fearless. We hear that. Fear means that one has that there's some ignorance. Fear is connected to ignorance. So when there is knowledge, there's no fear. So how is it that the pure devotee is fearful? Prabhupada say, a pure devotee is always fearful of material existence. And then he goes on, and no one knows what will happen next. For one may have to change his body at any moment. Tata dehantara prakti. So, it means, that the devotee is, okay, I don't want to take another birth in this world. But we also hear devotees say, hell, heaven, whatever. I don't mind. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even prayers. I want to become a dog in the house of the devotee. He prays for that. So it looks like they're not, so we hear this, that pure devotees are not very concerned about existence in this material world, even in the body of a dog, as we hear from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So what is it Prabhupada saying here? He thus goes into, within his purport, explain that in reality, what the devotee is afraid is to be disconnected from Krishna. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna's protection and affection towards his devotee is that he helps them by giving them the intelligence by which to exist in this material world without forgetting him even for a moment. So the fear is to disconnect from Krishna. Is to be, so for the devotee, you can come in here. You just help her out. Yeah, you help her. So for the devotee, so the fear is, I'm going to be disconnected with Krishna. So in one sense, it's something that can happen. We were a pure devotee. We were in the spiritual world. How in the world we landed in here? Something happened, and I'm deadly afraid that happens again. That's the fear of the devotee. So whatever happens that brought me to this material world and make me forget Krishna, I'm afraid of that. And Prabhupada says, we hear that in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, that he's in a conversation with the devotees, in a room conversation. He's saying that basically he can fall down. He cannot fall down. What is the difference between you and me? He asks. And everybody say, oh, Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee. And, someone says, yo, Prabhupada, you're the intimate associate of Krishna. Prabhupada, you're the empowered acharya. And we are just disciples. Things like that. And Prabhupada say, no. The difference between you and me is that I can be in a room full of naked women and I won't fall down. He will not fall down. And then everybody went, Jai Srila Prabhupada. And then next moment, then I think it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj, or there was one of the intimate associates of Srila Prabhupada, sees Prabhupada in front of the altar, and he pays ovations and he stands very attentively in front of the deities and says a prayer. And very, to himself, with Krishna, he's praying to Krishna. And the devotee asks Srila Prabhupada, what are you praying to Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada says, I'm praying to Krishna to please protect me so I won't fall down. And then the devotee was puzzled. Prabhupada, you just said the other moment that you can never fall down. And then Prabhupada said, this is why. This is why I won't ever fall down. Because he's always praying to Krishna, please protect me. So there's something that the devotee is afraid. What is that? That I won't want to be away from you even for a moment. We also hear in the pastimes of Mukunda, as intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, that childhood friend of Lord Chaitanya, but I can't remember what he was doing. He was doing this and that and some different things, and Lord Chaitanya became very upset with him during the time of when Lord Chaitanya sort of established himself in the Mahaprakash during that period. He became upset with Mukunda and said, I don't want to see him. He cannot come here. He cannot come to the association of devotees. Prohibited. So the devotees were shocked, and they fell from Mukunda. And when Mukunda was coming, the devotees said, no, the Lord said you cannot come into the association of the devotees. And Mukunda was like devastated. He couldn't understand, so he asked, but why, no? The Lord says, what can we do? Is his order. You cannot come. So he asked, please ask him when, if I will have ever a chance to see him again. And then the devotees asked the Lord and say, yes, he can see me again after 3,000 life, 3,000 births in this world. And then the devotees were shocked and feeling very pain to even say that to Mukunda. So Mukunda came and asked him, so did you ask the Lord? And he said, yes, Prabhu, I'm sorry to say that the Lord said that he will only see you after 3,000 births in this world. And then Mukunda just exploded into, this joy and started to dance in ecstasy. And the devotees, asked, Mukunda, 3,000, the Lord just punished you that he And he say, at least I'm for sure gonna see him after 3,000 births. This is wonderful. I'm guaranteed that I will have his association after 3,000 births. So I'm most fortunate. And then the devotees were amazed. And they narrated this to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya became very pleased and said, bring him back immediately. So he was taken back into the association. So the devotee's greatest fear is to be away, to not have the association of Krishna. And that's what Krishna protects them. That's what Krishna is affectionately always, connected with the devotees, so they won't ever forget him. So I think, let me see how I can wrap this up. For ourselves, it's important to remember, Prabhupada says that the only criticism that he has of his disciples is that we're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. There's one thing that, we can say, many of us, if we look at afraid of, I can imagine what life will be if without the association, without this, the association of devotees, and without the life of Krishna consciousness. And sort of like, one is, that's a big fear that, some of us develop. That very easily can be swayed into just go down and find myself, sort of rejecting or away from the association of the spiritual master and the devotees. And that's a great tragedy. It's sort of like that when we see some devotees that goes through that, at times. So in one sense we pray for protection from our own personal demons, our own personal kamsas that are sort of harassing us and persecuting us and trying to send other kinds of putanas and denekasuras and all kinds of things, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur compares all those demons with anarthas within the heart. So we've been pretty much, under siege by all these demons. And praying to Krishna for protection is very, very appropriate. And Prabhupada say having a healthy fear for the association of material things or entertaining material attachments is a good thing for us, for devotees, to maintain ourselves strong and steady. And so we can do that. Any comments or questions? Keshava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Subal, thank you for the class. This is regarding this particular verse in which speaks about the different forms of Vishnu and Krishna. I still have some difficulty to understand when is Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when is Krishna, who's who, when has his four hands, when he's not. I still, yeah, as I said before, have some difficulty to understand in which part the Supreme Personality of Godhead is embodied by either or Vishnu or Krishna.
Well, it can be very technical, and obviously, I have so much, limited to go deeper into explanations. But so far, I understand from my limited perspective. So just, making that clear, is that out of 1,000 cycles of yugas, one cycle, 1,000 cycles of yuga, Krishna in his original form appears. So what happened in the 999 other ones? Then there is an incarnation of Krishna that comes from Lord Vishnu. So it is explained, Krishna means that is a blackish incarnation, Sham. And how exactly, that's the part that, how it goes, and the technicalities and who and how, that I don't know. I have heard at times, like say, the appearance of Lord Venkateshwar, who is Lord Vishnu, worshipped in Tirupati, is he is blackish, and is Lord Vishnu, but he appears in Kali Yuga. There's a different configuration in the other 999. There's a switch in the one that Krishna appears. Tetra Yuga and Dwarpa Yuga switch. So in this particular cycle of yugas in which Krishna appears, Tetra goes first, Dwarpa goes after. So it will be Satya, Tetra, Dwarpa, and Kali. In the other ones, as far as I remember, I understand, is Satya, Dwarpa, Tetra, Kali. And in the other 999, there are 4 primary incarnations of Yuga avatars. One is white, one is red, one is there's 4 colors, I can remember. One is yellow, maybe, and also black. Huh? Yeah. The black appears in Kali Yuga, according to, in this one, black, Krishna, appears in Dwarpa. And in this one, the 4th appearance is not mentioned, it's a hidden. So it's Lord Chaitanya, we know, but in this cycle of Yuga, Krishna is known as Tri Yuga, which means that Tri Yuga. What is it? Garga Muni, when he made we're gonna hear that soon. He was the priest of Nanda Maharaj, of the Jadus actually, and he made the chart for Krishna, and he explains that Krishna has appeared. He appears in 3 different yugas, so therefore he's known as Tri Yuga. So meaning that the 4th yuga is not mentioned. We know that it's a hidden. But in the other 999, he appears in the 4 yugas. So that Krishna, that blackish incarnation, appears in Kali. And then I hear, I don't, when I visit, I went into the South Indian Yatra, it was explained the past tense of Srivatsa or Lord Venkateshwar, or what is the name that is Balaji. That he's blackish, is Lord Vishnu, but he appears in Kali as, the Yuga avatar of that particular time. So, so there is this appearance of Lord Vishnu in a blackish, Krishna, but it's not Srimad-Bhagavatam Krishna, it's Lord Vishnu. It doesn't manifest, the Vrindavan Lila or, like that. That's Krishna. And that happens only rare, only once in a day of Brahma. So it is there. It is there. So in one sense, from the perspective of Brahma, hey, it's just one day, so it happens very regularly. From our perspective, is a very rare occasion.
So that being said, Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. The Srimad-Bhagavatam. I mean, Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, but Krishna has the position of the fountainhead, the original. There's that Srimad-Bhagavatam. The original candle, yes, that's how Srila Yuva Goswami explains. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your class. You made a lot of nice, wonderful points. Like, for example, our camps inside, we all have our individual. But one last point you made at the end of your class was Mukunda Prabhu. I really appreciate that pastime and your connection with devotees. Always feel for being disconnected with the Lord. And if Lord Chaitanya had told us, the next time you'll see me is in 3,000 years.
We'll be depressed, no?
Yeah, exactly. Or our response would be, I'm converting to Christianity. But Mukunda, that's the nature of devotees. They're so grateful for whatever benediction they're getting. There's a quote that says, start bringing gratitude to all your experiences instead of waiting for a positive experience in order to feel gratitude. So my question is related to, in common is related to where Prabhupada says, like you were mentioning, how is it that devotees are fearful? And one thing that came to mind is that we see that, the great saints, Prahlad, Haridas Thakur, Jesus Christ, because they taken shelter of the Lord, they taught us that we shouldn't fear our enemies on the outside, but we should fear our enemies on the inside. Like you were saying, we all have our individual camps within us. And we see that, for example, politicians, they're not fearful of their enemies on the outside, but they're still put in prison. Why? Because they weren't fearful of their enemies on the inside. So we saw Aristotle, he said a good quote. He says, the wicked man cannot be in a position of a friend, even toward himself, because he has nothing in himself which would excite the sentiment of friendship. It is man's duty to flee from wickedness with all his might and strive to be good. And thus may he come to be friends with himself and may come to be friends with another. So one thing that Lord Chaitanya says we should fear above all anything else is that Vaishnava Aparad. He told Rupa Goswami in Madhya Lila, chapter 19, verse 156. I had the opportunity to look this up specifically, which verse. And he's like, this is the main thing we should fear, Vaishnava Aparad. So my question is regarding this. Sometimes we think there's a difference. We hear from the scriptures many pastimes that there's a difference between disagreeing and disrespecting. Like you were mentioning, Prabhupada was at the altar and he prayed to the Lord, please don't let me fall down. When we get in an argument with someone, we go to the altar and pray to the Lord, I hope they fall down. That's the difference between disagreeing. We see that Prahlad, even though he disagreed with his father, he always respected his father. He was always his well-wisher, so it doesn't matter what anyone does to us. And so, so my question is essentially related to the point that if you're, let's say, a student in an institution.
Ask the question.
If you're a student in an institution and you go to Shikshak Guru, sometimes people take it that, you disagree with them as disrespect, Vaishnava Aparad. And sometimes people are reluctant to go to their teacher and say, I have some discrepancy. But one point I appreciated from Anuttama Prabhu when he was here, he says that it's actually a duty of a leader to listen to the students first. And he gave an analogy. He says that if you're lost on the road and you call your leader, somebody at a far distance, he said, what's the first thing the leader will ask you? And the answer is that, what's the first thing that the leader will ask you? And he said the first thing the leader will ask you is, where are you?
That's the question, Jai Baladev.
Where are you? And so the tendency is that when we try to direct people, we say, I know where you are, but we don't ask, where are you? Or when you go to the doctor. So what are some tendencies students could do to become fearless in saying, Prabhu, you don't ask where I am at. You're giving me so much instruction, but I'm not at that level. There's so many different levels in school, but you're saying I'm at this point, but I'm not at this point. So, and sometimes people are afraid to ask that question because they think it's Vaishnava Aparad, but it's not Vaishnava Aparad. It's that you know where you're at, but maybe people don't know where you're at, so they're afraid to ask that, and so then their growth is stunted. So how is a devotee supposed to do with that, that dilemma?
Well, the first thing is that we have to establish a relationship. If I don't have, it really will depend. We have to be sensitive to if we don't have, a relationship with a particular devotee that allows to me to actually go into a much more a personal thing, where you at type of thing. I have first to create a sense of trust that, we do have a relationship. Because if I ask, a devotee that I don't have that necessarily a deeper relationship with, and I start to question about their personal, struggles or personal life, or maybe my observations or things like that, then it may not sort of go well. The devotee may, rather than open, closes, So you have the opposite effect, and the devotee may take some offense. So at times, it's better to just respect from distance. At times, and serve. Say if I want to communicate out of goodness, or to try to do something good, something that I want to communicate to a particular devotee, then I can do it indirectly, or I can wait for the opportunity that that opens, or and meanwhile I just wish well and I find opportunities to serve. By service, then one creates a trust. Oh, this guy is, he have this devotee sort of is a well-wisher, and like that. From our perspective, and on the other end, is we have to also be tuned in on the goodwill that is surrounding us. Sometimes we're so caught in our personal sort of like a path that we tune off the goodwill that is surrounding you of others. So we cut ourselves from other people too. So the community that we have of devotees is a great gift. It's a gift. It's Krishna's mercy and it's Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So we can actually try to tune in of how special it is and how beneficial it is for us, you know, in one sense, you know. I mean, there will be differences because we're different, you know. We have different backgrounds, we have different things. We, you know, like you have here 6 people, and we all have very different, you know, backgrounds. So we would have different ways of seeing things. But then one have to tune in on the things that unify us, that creates this very goodwill that we have for each other. And, you know, appreciation. And then with that, as you say, the gratitude part is where, you know, where the wonderful thing happens. Actually, we can talk it because it's 8:42. Jitendra, you want to say something? No? If you want to say something, we close with your comment. Huh? Okay. Keshava Prabhu, you can ask me. Yeah, we can take it off, you know, so we can finish the class. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.